So I want to just check in and make sure I'm talking to the right audience and I can see you guys. And by the way, if you don't have your camera on, I'd love it if you turn your camera on so I could see your face and see the interaction. So if you would like any of the following, give me like jazz hands or something. How would you like more sales? Who wants more sales? Like this is
yes,
all
yes,
money,
yes, yes.
money comes from sales. How about more sales to your event and at your event? Who would like that? Great. And then how about to finally make what you are worth? Who would like that?
Yes, yes, yes.
To hang out and do business with thought leaders who are crushing it. Who would like that?
Yeah.
Well, you are about to discover how one presentation created over $500,000 in sales for my business and how you can duplicate it and do that as well. So this presentation, just to be clear, is not about being a keynote speaker and getting a check. That's what you could get as being a keynote speaker and being paid to speak is minuscule compared to how much you can make using speaking to sell your coaching, your seminars, your workshops, and then selling at your workshops. This is about using speaking as a marketing and sales vehicle. Does that make sense to you guys? Yes. So why am I doing this? Speaking is the #1 fastest way to grow your business, raise money, create wealth, and anyone can do this with the right training. So this is the secrets of speaking, how to become a world-class speaker. I want to help you become someone who rocks stages, who makes a massive impact in the world, and that creates a rush of new clients with every presentation. And before I go on, more important than anything, I heard Ken talking about why. I always share my why. And if you're taking notes, I encourage you to take notes. Your why is not your family. That's your personal why. You have to have a why for the world that every one of your perfect clients can fall into and they'll win by it. So here's a check to see if you're one of my perfect clients. I believe that you have a God-given mission, and you don't have to believe in God, you can call it universe, whatever you want, but I believe that you have a God-given mission that only you can do, and it can be fulfilled and funded through your business. So what I'm looking for, who here feels like they were made to make a massive impact in the world? Awesome, I love it. That's what it is. But we also want to make a lot of money because some people like, I just want to help the world and they don't want to make sales. And then they have no money. And then if you have no money, you can't market, you can't impact, you can't lobby, you can't give. And then some people are all about money, but no impact. I don't want to work with those people. I want to work with people who want to impact the world and who want to make a lot of money and have a lot of fun doing it. Who thinks that sounds pretty cool? Awesome. So I want to say thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Put in the work. You turn on your cameras. Do me a favor. Look at someone in a square near you and say, thanks for being here. You look awesome today. Look at someone and say, thanks for being here. You look awesome today.
Thanks for being here. You guys look awesome.
You are all awesome.
You are all. Look at those smiles.
Thanks, guys. Now look at someone in another square and say, well, at least you made it.
No, we're all awesome.
Glad you're here. You're awesome.
It's a tease. It's a tease. I also got to say big shout out to Ken and the entire crew, Danella, Casey. Have they been awesome? There's something we like to do as a heart wish where we send love and energy from our heart to them. Can you guys join me in sending Ken a big heart wish? Ready? And whoosh. I work with Danella. I absolutely love her and she's great. Casey's the best. And Ken, what a fantastic event this has been. By the way, who's buying a camera like Ken's as soon as they can? That thing is amazing. So real quick, in case you don't know me, quick introduction on me. Here I was in Iceland a couple years ago, went over there on a bucket list trip. I've been featured on the news nationwide a bunch of times. I was in the movie Pass It On with like Rudy Rudiger, Vander Holyfield. My first book came out. You guys heard of Deepak Chopra, Mark Victor Hansen, Wayne Dyer, and there's me. So you can say I'm close to greatness. Yeah, the jokes get no better, sorry. So been in a bunch of books. And then Guerrilla Marketing Summit, this is where I met Ken. And one of the things I'm gonna talk about is when you speak, you get to hang out and do business with people who are crushing it. Because I was a speaker at this event, I got to meet Ken. I'm not sure it would have worked if I hadn't have been a speaker there. I've spoken at Harvard, and yes, I did meet the guy, you know, the guy who's the most interesting man in the world. He was a guest, so I did get a product shot with him. Yeah, shameless. But speaking of products, I have been blessed. I have created a whole bunch of, I have been in the speaking and seminar industry for almost 20 years now, and I've been blessed to be able to take my ideas and thoughts and create products that I made a lot of money selling and helped a lot of people. And then my real forte is live events. I have written a bunch of live events and we make a big difference. And I've written presentations for some of the most influential people like Matt Basak, one of the top internet marketers, Les Brown, Laura Castleman, who's the CEO of JV Zoo. If you don't know what JV Zoo is, they are a affiliate clearinghouse, and they do approximately $500 million in transactions a month. So I am blessed. And because I have learned the secrets of making huge sales speaking, I have a lifestyle for what's important for me, and I get to give back. This is one of the ways I give back. I love going on mission trips. Upper left, we were in Nicaragua building a playground. Bottom center, we were in Ghana doing medical screening and micro entrepreneurship training. Upper right, we were in Uganda doing a medical clinic as well. That's one of the ways I give back, and I absolutely love it. The other thing, because I know how to sell, is this. I've just started a thing called African Art for Missions. This is totally a side project. I make no money on it. I've started importing art from Africa, and then we sell it, and we send all the money to different charities. And right now what we're doing in Uganda, if a woman wants to have a baby, she has to go to the hospital and bring her own razor to cut the umbilical cord, a string to tie it off, her own mat, her own blanket, everything. If in Uganda, if you want medical treatment, you have to pay for it or they turn you away. So we're helping to build a free medical clinic that will be self-sustaining and using telemedicine. So it's about making a difference in the world, and I love it. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. Awesome, Rob. So this is the other way I give back. And really, this is the most impactful way I give back, is I do seminars, workshops, and events. And I help people like you reach more people, make more sales, and make more of an impact so that you can change the world. And that's what we're here for. So quick question, are you guys ready for a turn? Have you spent money on marketing, on sponsorships? Have you spent money to start your business, getting certified, growing it? Have big expenses coming up? I hope all of you join Ken's higher level program, and you're going to want to make money to pay for that. Have you paid for other things? Let me ask you guys, whatever it is, are you ready for a return? Are you ready to start making more money? That's what this is about. And the opportunity is now. Why is it now? Because profitable presentations can be done by anyone with the right training, and very few people have the right training, and you can finally get paid what you're worth. And what about this? Be recognized for who you are. Are you anything like me that if you go to an event and you're not the one on stage, you get a little pissed off? I'm just being authentic with you guys, because every time I'm not up there, I'm like, I should be on that stage. So the world-class speaker system changes three things. If you're taking notes, please write this down. I think you've already bought into the idea of live events and speaking, but I want to make it a little clear what it does. One, it changes sorry, I just blanked out on it. It changes your profits, it changes the world, and it changes you. So how does it change your profit? One webinar seminar could change your business, because world-class speaking makes a lot of money. Am I going too fast, or is this okay, the speed I'm at for you guys? Great. It's the fastest way to grow your business. It's how high achievers do it. So if you look at all the speakers that Ken has had here, and if you look at what Ken's model, it's speaking. He filled this through speaking, guest speaking, and this is the way all the high achievers do it, and it's what I want to invite you to step into. One presentation can make you a ton of money. 5 6-figure paydays are common with world-class speakers. And it's a low cost or no cost marketing. Mostly it's free to speak. Right now there's 8,000 platforms a month looking for speakers. Danella is someone who helps me get on stages, and she is brilliant. There is no shortage of places looking for speakers, but the trick is they're looking for good speakers. Because if you rock a stage, you'll get invited back over and over and over, and you're not going to have to keep looking for many stages. Oh, that was the last thing it said. You're going to get invited back over and over and over. So world-class speaking changes the world, because you help not a little, but a lot of people, and you make a major impact on their life, and you make the money to fulfill. The more money you make, the more people you can help. It's really simple. And this is how your life-changing message gets heard. So world-class speaking changes you. And here's one of the things, please write this down. I have to be at my best to be a speaker. It calls you forth to step into greatness. And if you notice, Ken's been talking all day today and a large portion of yesterday on the mind and heart game, because that's the biggest determinant if you will fail or succeed as a speaker, is your heart and the way you take on life. So world-class speaker, see, you get known here and you become who you always wanted to be. Imagine being that person on stage who's making a massive impact in people's lives. I actually just finished leading a 2-day transformational event, and we had 14 people on for 8 hours a day, and they rocked it out. So be seen for the greatness you are. You want to be great, and speaking calls you to be great. But here's the other thing that happens. The people you hang out with will change. And here's why. Please write this down. Speakers hang out with speakers. Speakers hang out with speakers. I see some people making things. Bonita, hi Bonita, hi Dean. Dean Success. Dean Hankey is just awesome. I love that guy. We used to do a weekly Facebook Live called Speakeasy with Jase, and Dean always popped over. Bonita says, was I a stage hypnotist? I'll talk about that in a minute. Good to see all of you guys. So let's talk about world-class speaking for presentations. I want to give you the power of speaking. So this group, you get events. Most people don't yet. And most people don't get the power. Casey, thank you. Okay, so most people don't get the power of using speaking to make all of your sales. Here's why. Let's suppose you're going to do 100 sales calls, 100 individual sales calls. How long will 100 individual sales calls take you? Probably at least 100 hours, right? So an hour each, 100 hours. How about that? Do you want to do 100 hours or one Zoom conference for 1 hour? 100 hours or 1 hour. But here's the other difference. When you can leverage yourself and become a speaker, in addition to the time, you're going to make more sales because you're positioned better when you're speaking. Using social cues and dynamics, the audience will perceive you and want to work with you more. So you get easier conversions, and frankly, you get much better clients and you get way more sales. So speaking rocks on so many levels. So people buy stories, not stuff. They buy the stories you tell and the stories they hope to tell because they bought your stuff. So our story begins. This was me in 2001. Now you guys laugh. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. How much confidence do you think that guy had? How much money do you think that guy was making? Yeah, seriously, that was me. So I was a part-time real estate investor and a real estate agent, and I wasn't making much money. And I'll never forget, one day I'm at this real estate club, and I'm sitting in the back of the room, and I see this guy on stage, and they're doing deal of the month, and they're voting. And one guy was going to make 50,000 on a deal, and another guy's making 60,000, but spread out over 6 months. And I'm in the back of the room, and I could barely pay my bills. And I'm like, I'm every bit as smart as those guys are. I'm every bit as qualified. I'm not making the money they are. And if any of you don't raise your hands on this, but you can like give me one of these. Has anyone here ever felt that way? Like other people are making the money that you want to make. It's your time to step into it. And so I happened to be going to it was a Robert Kiyosaki event, and I brought my mom because my mom had nothing saved for retirement. I wanted to have her get into real estate with me. And this guy gets on stage, and this guy talks about what you need to do to make more money. And none of it was about real estate. It was about how you play the game of life and learning sales skills. And I'm like, this dude is talking to me. And I stood up to buy his course. Oh, by the way, his course was $1,500. And I'd never spent more than like $200 before. I mean, I was of the mindset, oh, people who spend thousands on seminars are losers. But meanwhile, I was the one who couldn't pay his bills, who was the real, right? So I stood up to buy his course, and my mom looks at me, and she grabs my jacket, and she sits me down, and she says, "You're not going to buy it, are you?" Now, was my mom trying to hurt me? What was my mom trying to do? To keep me safe. And how many of you, do not raise your hand, especially if they're sitting next to you, how many of you had someone in your life who's well-meaning, but they said, hey, don't buy anything, give me your credit cards? They just don't understand, right? And I get touched telling this every time because this is the moment my life shift. I just got this at a deeper level. My moment didn't shift when I went to the guy's event. My life shifted because he sold me on investing in myself. And I got up in the face of my mom's resistance, in the face of her grabbing my shirt, in the face of spending $1,500, and I went to the back and I bought his program, and it changed my life, you guys. It was like I got my dreams back, and I started going to every seminar I could. I went to all of Landmark's programs. I went to all of Anthony Robbins. Ken mentioned Platinum Partnership. Ken, I wonder if we ever crossed paths at Platinum. I was a Plat as well. I was in Anthony Robbins' highest level program. And interesting thing happened. I'm spending all this money on programs, but suddenly I'm making more money and I'm getting more confidence. Who would like more confidence? I think that's key for all of us. So I start changing my life, and I'm going to all these seminars. And in the middle of it, my mom calls me up and she says something you probably heard. She says, hey, haven't you been to enough seminars? And maybe in your life, this is the person who loves you dearly, but they're like this, and they're, if you can't see or hear it, I'm tapping my foot, they're tapping my foot, their foot, they're going, hey, when's this thing gonna pay off? Hey, maybe you ought to give this crazy dream up and just go get a job. hey, haven't you spent enough on this business? When are we going to make the money we need? And I want to tell you, if you're that person, hang on. You are on the right path. See, one of the things I learned is if you'll empty your pockets into your mind will always fill your pockets. And so I started going to all these programs and I radically changed my life. And within 2 years of the first program I went to, I launched my own personal growth company. I quadrupled my income in 1 year and then 10 times my income. I bought a deep duplex my mom lived in for free. I gave her money every month and I took her on the first class vacation of her life. Here we are in Mexico, where we pulled up and they greet you when you get out of the car with drinks. And if you notice, the upper right, the date says August 17th, 2005. I've been doing this a while, right? But now my mom calls me and I just showed you her new question. Her new question is, hey, when's your next seminar? See, when you get payoff, people are going to get enrolled and inspired. So those of you that are stretching, those of you that invest in Ken's Hire program, congrats. And you may feel a pinch, but that's what it takes to win. And I want to help you make sure you win. So that's what today is about. So I've been doing this 18 years now. And I want to point something out. I wouldn't be here. And we wouldn't be here if not for a speaker. I wouldn't be standing here if someone didn't speak into my life and inspire me to change and sell me beyond my old restrictions and inspire me to buy. And we literally wouldn't be here if Ken didn't have the power of speaking. And you're next. It's your time to get on stage. Who thinks it's their time to make a massive difference and make a lot of money? Let me see. Yeah, thank you, Caroline. I love that. So I've been speaking a long time. But it wasn't always this way. I went through a valley so you don't have to. So what I'm gonna do is share with you some stories of the journey I went on so that you don't have to go through the hard places I went to. So first, let me share the formula I've written and created now, but I didn't know any of this when I started. The formula for profitable presentation is compelling content times dynamic delivery times you. Please write that down. Compelling content, dynamic delivery, you. If you don't have all the content right so that people want to say yes to you, they won't buy. But if you have a great script, but you're boring, they won't buy. If you have a great script, you know how to connect with an audience, engage, entertain, tell stories, make them laugh and cry, but your mindset and your heart is off, you'll subconsciously sabotage. So I want to give you some tools for all of the above. And I want to start with the most important part of a profitable presentation. It's you. Because what's in you can stop you from making a difference, stop you from growing your business, stop you from taking ground, or can catapult you to success. What's in you? You are the most important. And what's in you is expanded on stage. Please write this down. What's in you is expanded on stage. So what that means is if you had a day but you get on stage and something's off, it's going to show up. But also it means if something happened to you when you're 5 years old and you haven't dealt with it, it's going to show up. What's in you is magnified and can stop you or catapult you to success. So my first speaking gig, let me say, not so great you. If you're nervous, it's expanded. They'll see it. If you don't think they'll buy, they won't. They'll subconsciously sabotage. But great you. If you're on fire, they feel it. If you care, they'll sense it. If you're focused, they'll want more. So my first speaking gig, I actually started working for the company where I went to that first seminar. I moved to Vegas and I didn't even have a job with them. I said, hey, I'm going to make you guys sales. You're going to find a way to hire me and I'm going to work for you guys. I was so inspired in the mission. So I was working for them and I got a chance. I'm looking for my big break as a speaker and I'm training, I'm watching my mentor. And I got a chance to speak on his behalf. And it was a little event in Orlando, Florida, a couple hundred people, and I rocked it. I did really well. So I fly back the next morning and we may have gone out for a few drinks that night to celebrate. So Saturday morning, I fly back to Las Vegas and I'm having lunch with my mentor and he looks at me. And before I tell you this, please write this down. Yes. Please write this down. Yes, and take a step. So the answer to how is yes. The answer to should I go for it is yes. The hardest yeses you give will make the most progress in your life. So my mentor says, you did a pretty good job last night. I'm supposed to speak tonight in front of 500 people. Let's see how you can do on a real stage. You're on tonight. So what I say? And to be clear, sometimes that yes comes out like this. Yes. So it's say yes and take a step. So what's my next step? I got to leave the restaurant and go change. You guys, it's lunch and I'm on just in like 4 hours. One of the blessings, and please write this down, less time to think about it. He didn't give me a lot of time to think about it, which was a blessing. So I get dressed, I show up, and it's a guy named Ron LeGrand. And I don't know if anyone here knows Ron LeGrand, but he's not a very touchy-feely guy. And I introduce myself to Ron. I say, Ron, I know you're expecting my mentor to be here. I'll do my best. And I want to, earn a place on your stage. And he says, Ron's big, much bigger than me. And he goes, well, with 500 people in the room, your mentor was the headliner. There could be some resistance in the room. Good luck. Thank you, Ron. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm doing deep breathing exercises. Everybody take a deep breath with me. I'm going to put a gallery so I can see everybody. So I'm doing these deep breathing exercises, but it's supposed to be like, but I'm so nervous. It's like, and this guy comes in the room. And by the way, this story's true. And as far as I know, all my stories are true. So this guy comes to the bathroom and he goes, hey, did you hear the headliner's not here tonight? I said, I heard that. What do you think about it? And the guy goes, I think it sucks. How would you have felt in that moment? You're everything you want. It's my big break. It's my opportunity. And a guy just came in the bathroom and said, it sucked. I'll be there. And there's the moment your life will change. See, as you're going to step up for greatness, massive resistance is going to come. And you're either going to have the tools to get through the resistance or you're not. It's that simple. And so everybody please say yes. Everybody say yes, and take a step. So say yes and take a step. Say yes and take a step. And the reason I want you to practice this now is you don't want to practice when the fear hits. You want to practice now. So we've got to get you strong and powerful so that you can rock a stage. You've got to say what?
Yes, and take a step.
Yes, thank you.
Yes,
Say yes.
plus
And take a
movement.
step.
Yes, and take a step.
Make a move.
Big step.
So what I did, by the way, the guy left. I asked the guy, and I've never seen this guy's face. To this day, I've never seen this guy's face. And I was like, hey, I hear this guy Jase is here. What do you think? And he goes, well, I'll give him a shot. To his credit, he said, I'll give him a shot, right? So I really believe when your heart is in the right place and you're committed to moving forward, whether you call it God, the universe, whatever, will give you what you need. So I actually got on stage that night and I told the audience what happened in the bathroom. And they went from looking at me like, who's this guy, to cheering for me as the underdog. And I was like, yeah. So I actually wound up speaking and I did 96,000 in sales. And you guys, I didn't know what I was doing. The training I got was, you watch me do it, go do it. So I had no idea what I was doing. And I just knew this, if I was on fire enough, I hope the audience would buy, and I had many times they did. So I did almost 96,000. So at the end of the event, I'm talking to these attendees, and Ron steps between me and the attendees, and he goes, you need to talk to my assistant, Cam. I said, Ron, I hope this opens the door for us to work together in the future and I get on your stage. And he goes, you're in. You don't know how far you're in. And I looked at him, and he's not a touchy-feely guy. And I looked at him and I said, can I have a hug? And sparks like shot out of his head. He goes, okay. Not many people have hugged Ron LeGrand. So I call that my $96,000 hug from Ron LeGrand. So let's jump back into it. So here's what we do for our people in our trainings. Every part of our trainings, we have a part of it that is on breakthrough. No matter how successful you are, you can do better. So the first time I sold my own stuff, so that was selling my mentors programs. The first time I sold my own things, I did almost 98,000 in sales, but I still had no idea what I was doing. I just got up and I hoped if I was energized enough that the crowd would buy. That worked. Here's what happened for a client of mine. Do you think it would be valuable for you if you could get on a TED Talk or something like that? Yeah.
Yes.
You had a client.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Big
Dad.
time.
Write this down. Break through and get rewarded. Break through and get rewarded. So for some of you, the breakthrough may be investing in Safari. Some of you, it may be, I don't know what it is. Some of you, it might be just taking that first step on a stage. But I believe when you make the internal breakthrough, you're rewarded externally. So we held an event, and we had a client named Rhonda. And we've been telling Rhonda for years, Rhonda, you need to speak. And she didn't feel worthy. So she comes to our event, and she has this big breakthrough. And she's like, okay, I can speak now. The next day, she gets an email saying, would you like to apply for a TED Talk? And she says, should I apply? I'm like, what do you mean should you apply? Of course I should apply. So she has the breakthrough. She gets the email. She applies. We work on her. Remember the 3 portions: content, delivery, and mindset. She rocks her audition. She gets a TED Talk. So this is Rhonda at her TED Talk. Her first public presentation since junior high was a TED Talk. What could that do for your business? Spoke at TED, and interesting, she got her first paid speaking gig after that. And her non-speaking business, which is book cover design, is making a lot more sales now. So the formula for profitable presentations, remember, it's content, delivery, you. Content, delivery, you. So now let's talk about the next piece. What is the difference between no sales and huge sales? What's the difference between blacklisted? What that means is promoters talk to each other. And if you bomb on a stage, they won't have you back, and they'll tell other people not to have you back. I really want to land this for you guys. And Ken was telling you about the arena of 50-50 splits. If you bomb on a stage, if that promoter, if you could have done 50,000 in sales and the promoter gets half and you get half, you each get 25,000. If you bomb, that means the promoter just lost how much money? 25,000, because they're counting on that cash. But if you rock it out and you maybe do more, do 80,000, they get 40, you get 40, they're telling every promoter they know, and people are calling you up out of the woodwork. Does that make sense, you guys? So you've got to learn this skill. This one skill is the difference between the two. Blacklisted or invited back, snooze fest, successful events, people leaving, standing ovations. What is this one tool that's the difference between you struggling and you rocking it out, having the business and the lifestyle you desire? Well, here's where I discovered this. So I mentioned I was working for that mentor, and I watched him speak hundreds of times. So this time we're in Miami, Florida, and what I would do is watch the other speakers. And I'm sure you've heard this before, and I want to encourage you to do it. Watch the other speakers. Don't just pop in for your speaking slot and pop out unless you just absolutely can't handle, book it in because you have something else going on, like a speech. If you're not speaking somewhere else, you need to be watching the other speakers where you're going to speak. I'd say that's the only thing, unless someone's in the hospital, that could get you out of watching and participating in the event. So anyway, so I'm enough lecturing. Sorry, guys. I'm just passionate about it. So I'm watching the speakers, the other speakers, and there's another speaker, and he has unbelievable content. This was about 2004, and he had this cutting edge brain science content. And the guy I worked for had good content. This other guy, the audience is bored and they're checking their phones. My mentor, the audience is laughing, they're crying, they're having a great time. The guy with amazing content, people are leaving. My mentor, standing ovation. The guy with amazing content, better content, I think he made $3,000 in sales. My mentor did $375,000 in sales. The first speaker was speaking like this, and he was giving the information. My mentor's telling stories and all over the place. So what's the difference between the two? Delivery. You have to learn how to deliver and connect with the audience. So there's a formula we like to use to measure your effectiveness. It's the number of laughs times the number of tears equals the number of people that you impact and sell. Number of laughs times tears equals number of lives you will change, and the number of laughs times tears equals the number of sales you will make. If you're flat with laughs, if you're flat, and I don't mean they have to be crying, but you got to touch their heart, right? If you don't touch their heart, you're not going to really change anyone's life. And when you do, you'll make way more sales. So delivery is the second key in the difference between bombing and huge sales. So when we talk delivery, it's really connecting with the audience. See, you've got to have the tools of storytelling, being good with comedy. By the way, you guys, I'm standing far enough away. It's hard for me to see the chat. So if I don't answer, please forgive me. And I'll stay on afterwards, to answer the chat. Opening up emotions with comedy. You've got to have the improv techniques. Improv is powerful because in improv, you have to say yes and. And here's what happens in a lot of sales. People say, no, I can't do that, and it kills the sale. What you have to be able to do is use the tool of yes and to deal with objections and handle them so that you can make more sales. So improv and learning to be a great speaker actually helps you make more sales. And then you do voice work, stage mechanics, and then subconscious influence techniques. If you don't know what those are, it's okay. So you have to entertain. This is the most important part. You must entertain. You cannot be boring and be successful as a speaker. Speaking is putting on a show. Here's the best way I think I can explain it. They made a movie about this. They made a movie called The World's Greatest Showman. They didn't make a movie called The World's Greatest Content Man or Content Woman. You have to put on a one-person show. It is a play. So I learned this, and I'm like, I thought about, if I'm going to stick around, I got to be funny. So I lived in Las Vegas at the time, and I went on a journey to discover the answer how to be funny. And I went to show after show. I'm a big believer in immersion, as you can tell. So I went to show after show after show after show after show, and I watched and I took notes. How did they deliver a joke? How did they craft a Cirque du Soleil thing? How do we walk in? How do they take the stage? How do they do the sound, the lights? How do the performers do that? How do they deliver so well? And what I learned is there's a formula for entertaining. There's systems. And then I took it a step further and I learned how to be an entertainer. And I wound up performing all around the world. So whoever said, were you a stage hypnotist? Yes. Here's me doing a hypnosis show in front of about 300 people and hypnotizing about 30, 40 people. This is where I learned to be entertaining on stage. And I'll tell you something really cool. The door this opened. I got hired by someone putting on a conference in England, and I got to do my show in London, England, and at other places around America. And so I would do my show, and then I would sell in my home study kit. And that's where I got to know Casey. And Casey and I actually have had beers together at an Indian restaurant in London. And it was one of the, like a big group of us went out. And it was one of the most fun nights and memorable nights I've had in my life. And Casey's like another person that I could call up and consider a friend. And I met them because I'm speaking. Speaking opens so many doors for you guys. So here's why funny makes money. All buying decisions are based on emotion and then backed up with logic. You can justify it with logic, but they're all based on emotion. Plus, if you want to impact lives, you have to be someone who can touch the heart, and the tools of comedy can do that. So when you're dynamic, you get their attention, you get them to like you, you keep them riveted, you get them to spend more money with you, you create wow moments in your presentation. So you get invited back time and time and time again because the audience loves you. But it's not funny. Remember this, it's not funny. It's touching the heart. So please write this down. Get them laughing, get them crying. You want to touch their heart. And there's tools. So this is Chad Hatt. And if you notice, my testimonials go back a ways. I've been doing this for a while. So Chad owns the largest privately owned home inspection company in North America. And he has marketing reps who do presentations in realtors' offices. And he says, we do 400 presentations a year. I realized we weren't converting. We came to your event. So I got this testimonial right after he went to my event. He says we learned the right mindset for speaking, delivery, how to connect with the audience. And by mastering these things, our business will be taken to a whole new level. So I'm like, awesome. And I think many of you have seen testimonials like this that come from right after the event. Luckily, and what I'm blessed with is I keep in touch with my people. I love long-term relationships. So I texted him and I said, hey, how you doing now? He says, let me look at the numbers. He says, oh, we had, what is that, 13% increase in sales, approximate 12.3% increase in sales, 38,000 monthly additional revenue, annual increase of 48 presentations. And then I texted him a couple years later. I said, how you doing now? Our marketing reps have been called the best presenters, 500 presentations a year, 9 million revenue. He's now over 10 million. So he sent all of his marketing team because the better you can rock a stage, the more sales you're going to make. So remember I said, first time selling my own stage, I made 98,000 bucks, which was great. But remember what I told you my training was? My training was, you see me do it, now go do it. You guys, I didn't know what I'm sharing with you. And it was really frustrating. And here's why, because other times I made no sales. And so sometimes I'd rock it, sometimes I'd bomb. Sometimes I'd rock it, sometimes I'd bomb. And it really took a toll on me. But here's the thing about zero sales. It doesn't mean zero. It means negative because I paid travel, lodging, sponsorship. I had a lot of money invested. But the emotional toll was bad. But this is the worst part. Word spreads. Promoters talk. So when I bomb, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I hope so-and-so doesn't hear about it and cancel me next month. Luckily, the times I rocked, I made 40, 50, 80,000 bucks in sales. And those good sales carried me through the rough times. And it really took a toll on me, right? So this is the worst part. I had no idea what I was doing wrong. Why am I bombing? Why am I succeeding? It was really frustrating, y'all. And this was the roughest time. So I speak at this event, and I'd spoken there before, and I didn't make very many sales. And I speak again, and I bomb, a goose egg, no sales. And the promoter sends his assistant to take me to dinner. And I'm thinking, oh, great. You know, maybe they're going to give me a pep talk. Awesome. So his assistant's like talking to me during dinner, and you know, maybe he's going to be a pep talk. And he's being really awkward, right? In the middle of dinner, he looks at me and he says, we'd like to invite you not to come back. How would that have felt, you guys? You're doing your best and they invite you not to come back. I thought to myself, that was a horrible pep talk. So it stung so deep. I was like, I've got to do something about this. Well, about this time, I was creating my home study course on one-to-one sales. See, I'd mastered one-to-one sales, and I used to charge $2,500 for a 3-day intensive on sales. And then from there, we would do our $10,000 package upsell. And this was back in the early 2000s, so early to mid 2000s. So I mastered one-to-one, and then when the recession hit, I started thinking, how can I help people cheaper, easier? And I went in studio and I made a home study kit. But to make the best home study kit I could, I was immersed in one-to-one sales. Plus, the recession happened, and my old market had been real estate investors, and that dried up really fast. I suddenly had a lot of time on my hand. So it got laid on my heart, create a system for speaking and figure out what are you doing wrong when you bomb and what are you doing right when you rock. And here's just like, you know how divinely things work together sometimes? Because I was creating my home study course, I was immersed in sales training, social psychology, triggers, group dynamics, personality types, communication, closing techniques. I was binging TED Talks and learning how we have these subconscious neural networks of people that connect us all. And I was learning how to use social dynamics to move people to buy. So I put together a system. And what I learned was you need to flip the psychological switches in the audience in the right order in order to make sales. So there's really around 27 switches. If you imagine there's a bunch of switches down, you have to get them all up and in the right order for the light bulb to come on and for them to buy. If that doesn't happen, you will make no sales. Does that make sense to you guys? So you've got to get all the psychological switches on. And very few people even know what these psychological switches are. You've got to get the switches on. So I created a system with the psychological triggers. It's no Rube Goldberg machine, Sue. This system is a sweet, clean system. So I auditioned for a big stage. And let me explain what I mean by audition. The event's in February, and there's gonna be 300 people there. And the guy says to me, hey, I have my highest level group is meeting, about 75 top people. You can do a presentation, we'll see how you do, and if you pass, I'll put you on my big stage. So I'm like, all right. And he goes, listen, you're not allowed to sell. I'm like, okay, I got it. And he goes, no sales. Hey, no sales. He's like, in the contract, it says no sales. Are you clear? You're not allowed to sell. I'm like, okay, I'm clear, not allowed to sell. So I'm supposed to pay my travel, my lodging to go audition. Are you guys getting this? I'm not even gonna make money. I'm just trying out so I can get on the big stage and sell. So I show up to the event and I use my system. I got all the psychological triggers on. I had the compelling content. I had dynamic delivery, and I was in the right mind space. I was in the right mindset. My heart was in the right place. By the way, here's my prayer every time I speak, and you're welcome to lift it. My prayer is, may their life be better forever because I was here, whether they buy from me or not. Say it again, may your life be better forever because I was here, whether you buy from me or not. My intention is to make an impact. I hope one day we get to work together. I'm going to give you a great opportunity, and I'm not selling anything right now, by the way. And I want to impact your life so you can impact more lives, and we can all increase revenues. So anyway, so I'm just auditioning, and the guy says you're not allowed to sell, and I use the system, and I rock it. And at the end of the presentation, the guy comes over to me, and he whispers in my ear, the promoter says, you rocked it. Let's sell your stuff. And I'm like, I thought I wasn't supposed to sell. And he goes, you rocked it. We'll give him a discount. Sell your stuff. So I sold my home study kit. That one day sales using my system equaled 25% of my previous year's income. What would it do for you if you could speak once and do 25% of your previous year's income? It made a massive impact for me. So at the end of the day, the promoter says, let's talk. And he leans in and looks at me and he says, I'd like to invite you. And I remember the last time someone said that, and I'm like, I'm thinking about it, I thought I did good. I did such big sales. They loved it. And he leans in and he says, I'd like to invite you to come back. You can speak to my group 4 times a year. You can sell your things every time. I'll put you on the main stage and I'll pay you a retainer to do it. I went from being uninvited to being paid a monthly retainer, booked 4 speaking gigs a year, including the big 300 person event. And I wound up being on that stage for over 7 years. Sell your stuff, I'll pay you monthly. That's the success you can have with this system. Here's me on that big stage. By the way, here's the magic of successful speaking too. I rocked that stage and I got on his stage 4 times a year. Out of this one presentation, 14 other people booked me for speeches where I've sold my stuff. Let me say that again. Out of this one stage, 14 people booked me to come speak in their town. One presentation can make your business, y'all. So I sold on the big stage and I did 50% of my previous year's income. So that means I spoke twice and did 75% of my previous year's income because I used the system. Now here's the most important part for you. I'm not special. The system is special. We have so many people who have followed this system that are absolutely rocking it out, and you can do it too. So let's talk about it. So remember I mentioned compelling content, hit the psychological trigger. So I'm going to teach you a little bit just about the introduction because I only have a little time with you. But you got to hit the psychological triggers in the right order in order to create sales. So there's 3 stages in a presentation. So you want to write this down because it's very deep. There's the beginning, the middle, and the end. Did you guys get that? It's very profound. The middle, I'm just kidding. It's the intro, the body, and the call to action. Introduction, I put in red because it's about the heart, establishing an introduction. The body is where you deliver content that gives them enough information to want to buy. The call to action is where you move people to an action. To be clear, when you're presenting, you are always moving people to action. The action is either handing you a credit card or the action is using your information. When you host events, you have to make really 3 sales: a sale to the event, a sale at the event, and then for people who buy, you've got to sell them on actually using what they bought from you so that they'll be successful. You've got to be really great with communication. So then, so the intro, I'm going to give you 4 things that your audience is asking when you take the stage. 4 questions. 1, do I like this person? Do I like the speaker? 2, does this presentation matter to me? And it's really interesting. You'll have people that will pay $5,000, $10,000 for a training, and they'll show up and they'll still be considering, should I listen or should I go into Facebook land on my phone? Should I stay plugged in or should I go into my phone? You've got to earn their trust and sell them on your content every time you take the stage. So does this presentation matter to me? What qualifies this speaker to be here? And then the 4th question they're going to answer is, does the speaker care about me? So we've got to answer these 4 questions. So we have 5 goals as speakers when we take the stage. Our goals are rapport, interest, authority, train, inspire the audience. Rapport. We want to get in rapport with the audience so there's a bond, a connection. First, we need to get them interested so they'll listen to the presentation. Authority, we've got to establish who we are, that we are qualified to be there, and then train them. We have to train the audience what kind of audience we want. Do we want participation? Do we want to hold the questions to the end? Do we want call and response? And then we also have to train and inspire. What I mean by that is share your story in such a way that it inspires people to go for more and that you teach and train people how to overcome the challenges in their life. See, what worked for me is say yes and take a step. So I've shared it with you. So I know it will work for you. It's worked for a lot of people. So you've got to share with the audience in the introduction how to overcome the time and money challenges so they'll say yes to you. Remember the 5 objections Ken talked about? If you can handle objections before they come up, you'll make more sales. And a way to do that is to start to handle those at the introduction. So your audience needs to know right away, up front, how they're going to win from your presentation. I think one thing that's really hurts people who use speaking to grow their business is too many people hide the lesson until later. I want to invite you to take the stage and say, if you want this, this, and this, you're going to get it. And that's why I'm here today. Let people know how they're going to win right away up front from your presentation. Does that make sense to you guys? Cool. Thanks for the nods. Here's what Greg from Houston. So remember I said I booked 14 stages out of that one speaking gig. So Greg's the gentleman on your right with the glasses on his head. And Greg hired me to come out to Houston and do a presentation to a bunch of realtors and I could sell my stuff. And he paid me a check. That was really nice. And he paid my travel. So we're hanging out and Greg says, Jase, did I ever tell you what I said to Troy, my business manager, the first time I saw you speaking? And I was like, no, you never told me. And Greg said, 10 minutes into your presentation, I leaned over to Troy and I said, I don't know what he's selling, but whatever it is, we're buying. Who would like it if 10 minutes into your presentation, people determined to buy from you? Who thinks that would be nice? You could do it with the right intro. So with compelling content, you make a system, you make more sales. So here's a woman named JK as a coach. She hired me to rewrite her presentation. I put it through the system. Her first time using the presentation, she converted 20% of the room. So let's talk about the impact of COVID, because COVID's affected things. So my business was teaching people how to speak at live events in person, and the way we did the training was live and in person. So when COVID hit, I really shut down. I mean, I was doing a very good business. This is Natalie Bablock. Some of you may know her. She says that in the months before I made Jase, I made about 4,000 in sales. My first event after working with Jase, I did what, 20,000 in sales in coaching programs, because she followed our system. But when COVID hit, I stopped everything because I couldn't in integrity tell people that I could teach them to speak on stages when there's no stages, right? And so I just shut everything down. I stopped my Facebook marketing. I told the guys to put everything on hold. I stopped all my sales. I was like, what do I do? And then Natalie calls me one day, and Natalie says, Jase, I was on a webinar. I closed a $5,500 package. They paid within 48 hours. I did another $1,500 in sales. They paid 2 days later. She did 7,000 in sales collected within 4 days. Is that sweet or is that sweet? So I thought to myself, I got to get on a Zoom. So I said, I'm going to see how my stuff maps over to Zooms and webinars. And here's what happened. I got onto a virtual conference. Danella hooked me up with this. We had 48 attendees in the room. I spoke for 1 hour, got 19 signups for sales calls, 8 sales, did over $38,000 in revenue from one speech. Who would like to do 38 grand in revenue from one speech? This system works. And here's why I'm here today. And here's the real reason Ken and I are so excited for me to be here. And I hope you will be too. When the recession hit, I said I had to stop doing the seminars. I was looking like, God, what's next? And I'm praying. And have you ever heard that if you drop a pebble in a pond, a ripple goes out, and that ripple is the difference you make in the world? The vision I had was all these hands dropping pebbles in this giant lake and creating a tsunami of love and change in the world. And so the vision I have is to share with you how to be one of these people who drops a pebble in a pond and grows it. See, if Sue or Manette or Caroline or Samantha or Dean or Robert, if you guys rock your stages, aren't you going to be helping a lot more people? And so the plan is this. This person grows, and this person grows, and you make a difference, 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 and together we make the world a better place. I still believe we can change the world, and I believe it's going to happen through live events and speakers just like you, and I believe you can crush your sales. So the reason I'm here today is the why of my company is we believe you have a God-given mission only you can do, and it can be fulfilled and funded through your business. So I'm here to help you fulfill your God-given mission. I'm here to help you rock stages to do it. So I want to know, is it your time? Is it your time for huge revenue? Is it your time to be confident? Is it your time for more sales? Is it your time for more fun? Is it your time to make a difference? Is it time to bring out the best you? Who's ready? Who's like, that's me? He's talking to me. So remember the formula, compelling content times dynamic delivery times you. There is a system for content and it works. This is Ken. Ken determined it was his time. Ken does book design. He did a presentation to 11 people. His first presentation, he did $32,000 in revenue. There is a system for delivery. This is Bob Heinz. Bob wanted nothing to do with speaking. He's shy and introverted. He comes to the training. His self-esteem improves. And we see this over and over. People are more confident and they have more self-esteem. And as a result, his revenue is 85% up from 578,000 to over $1 million. And there is a system for you. Like I mentioned, I just got off a 2-day breakthrough event for our people. This is Jen. She's one of my heroes. Jen has brittle bone disease. Jen has broken, when I met her, 67 bones. Now she's up to 69 bones. But man, it doesn't stop her. She says she's now knows how to prepare and she's more confident when she speaks, which has led to her meeting Chuck, the love of her life. A quick caveat, as good as my training is, I can't say that you will meet Chuck. And frankly, I don't think it's appropriate because he's already with Jen. I can promise you even better training though, because I've gotten better. Now here's what Jen did with our training too. She's not doing more, but they're better. Last month at BNI, she had the room in tears in a good way. And last month she did an enrollment she sent me this testimony a couple years ago. She works with Aflac. In the past, this enrollment would about 10 to 12,000 in sales. This time she sold 24,000. I just spoke with Jen a couple of weeks ago, and she is one of 2 Aflac teams in the entire country that have met or beat last year's sales numbers. And it's because she's speaking. She just did a $60,000 presentation for Aflac. One presentation, 60,000 in revenue. So there's a system. So who's ready to grow? I'm going to give you an opportunity to make this happen. And I want to be clear. It is, people use the phrase discovery calls. It is a sale call. We're going to discover if we're a fit. And I love how Ken said he wants to make your fit. If you're someone who wants to make a difference and wants to make a lot of money, and you can be a humble, great student, then you're who I'm looking for. I don't want to work with big egos. I want to work with humble servants who want to make a difference in the world. I want to work with people who are going to rock it out. So here's your opportunity. Before I show it a couple more people, I was just in Kansas City to speak. I actually got to speak at a live event last year. I was there in October, and I saw some of my people who are in my membership program. He says it's October, we're over 7% over last year. So even in COVID, they're doing Zooms to grow their business, and they're going to become $1 million business this year. They say, we only wish we'd been here before. This is Christine Rothdeutsch. Some of you may know Christine also. She joined my program. She just sent me this testimonial August 12th. And she said, this morning I delivered 15-minute talk, knocked it out of the park. In the past, I had little response. Booked 3 calls, and I'm still getting messages. Thanks, Jase, something clicked. And then she sent me an update. I just sold my highest coaching package ever. So Chris, I actually met Christine, I think, through Danella. So Christine just sold her, I did Danella, yeah, her highest package ever. And then these are some of my coaching clients, and I want to show you something. Everyone who has a circle around them just had their biggest year ever. Who's next? If you want to be next, go to callwithjase.com right now. You want to go to callwithjase.com right now. It is not rude if you open another browser while I'm talking. I'm going to talk a little bit more, share a little bit more. Go to callwithjase.com right now to get this going. So here's Laura Castleman. I mentioned her before, the CEO of JB Zoo. She says, Jase, if you want to sell big ticket, you got to work with Jase. This is Matt Basak. If you know Matt, he's an internet marketer, and this is exactly how he talks. He said, dude, you made me so many effing sales. Matt does a lot of webinars, although he didn't abbreviate it when he said it, but that's completely how Matt talks. So callwithjase.com. I'm going to share with you a couple of cool things after I talked about Blaze and a couple other people. So Blaze, remember, I've been doing this a while now. So Blaze came through my program in 2016, and I saw him again a few months later. I said, how's it going? He said, well, I built better relationships. I'm asked to come back and speak again and again. I went from 18 presentations in 2015 to 60 in 2016. Gross monthly income from 36,000 to 63,000. He says, if you're considering working with Jase, you should know it's about a lot more than being a better speaker. It's about being a better you. And from the inside out and getting to know and like yourself a whole lot more. So I've been keeping in touch with people. So I saw Blaze in early 2019. I said, well, Blaze, what's happening now? Fill me in. More requests to speak, people asking for presentations. They're asking him to present. They're asking us to do interviews and Facebook Lives. We'll do 30 presentations in March alone. We've more than doubled our revenue from 415 to 893,000. This is Lori Beth Bisbee. I met Lori Beth through Danella also. She came through, she used my system. She rewrote her presentation about 2 days before a conference she was on. 75 attendees, 7 calls booked, and an additional 7 emails for sessions. So go to callwithjase.com. And then here's Rob and Michelle Hopkin. So this is a testimonial from a while ago. They said, Rob and I spoke for an hour at our conference. Thanks, Jase, for your help. We couldn't have crushed it without your coaching. And here's my favorite kind of testimonial. When you speak and the people in the audience tell you how great you are, that's the most important thing for me. So Greg said, both of you inspired the conference. You were fantastic, inspiring. Thank you. You're both great. Thanks for being part of our life. And then Rob sent me this email about a month later, and he says, thanks for helping us fine-tune our message, perfect our delivery. We're rocking stages. Thanks for giving us the confidence we can do this in a big way. We're going to do about 130,000 for March. Now, I know I'm showing numbers some of you aren't at. Wouldn't it be nice to get there, though? So go to callwithjase.com. And then this is Hank. Remember I said you're going to script delivery in you. As you get better, your life gets better. He says, most importantly, my relationship with my wife is better. We're redoing our vows. I started working with Jase in August. In September through December, we're up 50,000 over the previous year. So in just working together for August through December, we got him up 50,000. This is Damon. He's in front of groups, grew by a little over 90,000 last year. And callwithjase.com. she says, you're training allowed our team to become someone that wowed the crowd, went to a level no one could, provider of choice. And this is ILET. Now, ILET is a smaller price point. She was going to sell her program for a couple $100. We redid it, taught her how to pitch. 4 people signed up in the spot, and 1 week of working together, she did $4,000. And then she says this, I'm teaching women something that's going to change so many lives. What could be better than that? So I want to share with you a couple of things real quick that are kind of new. And then I want to share with you an event that we have coming up that could be magical for you. So to hear about any of this, you want to go to callwithjase.com. A couple of things, and I haven't shown many people this. We have just launched our new online academy. We do live coaching, we do virtual intensives. We also have an online academy. So I'm just going to show you this, and then if I have time, I'll answer any questions. So in this academy, we have a ton of training on scripting, delivery, and mindset. We even have training in here about how to be great on video. So we have a beautiful online academy. And then the other thing I want to share with you is coming up in March, I'm doing a virtual intensive called Core, where imagine this, you could write your entire killer presentation over the course of 3 days, and you could practice parts of it. So we're doing an event called Core in March. So I'm not making that available now. The only way to find out about any of this is to plug in at callwithjase.com to book in a slot with me. And by the way, just so you guys know, I just signed up to sponsor this event really recently. So I didn't have my whole week cleared for next week. So I only have a few days open. So if you want a spot with me, I encourage you to go to callwithjase.com right now and get your spot. And I believe Ken's back. Welcome back, Ken. So let's open it. Any questions, comments, compliments? Is any questions about speaking, what I'm sharing today, anything at all? I'm happy to answer in the time I have. Ooh, I only have 2 days open on the schedule right now. It is, oh, Michelle booked in. Nice, Michelle. Congratulations. I can tell people are booking in right now. I'm getting text messages. They're flying in. Congratulations. Congrats to, oh, wow, there's a lot of you. Fabulous Camille, Kat, Caroline, Michelle, Mary Scott, June, Sue, Samantha, Monette. Congratulations. I can't wait to talk to you. I wish I had more time open this week, y'all. Oh my gosh. So there's probably 2 or 3 spots open if you want to get in there. Actually, I just found something I can move. I just opened more time on Monday if you'd like to get in. Hey, Ken.
Mike?
I just had one quick question, Jase. What was your favorite of all your presentations that you've done on stage?
What was my favorite of all the presentations I did on stage?
Yes.
The one where the guy came in the bathroom and says, "It sucks you're here," because it was a turning point in my life. And you guys, sometimes you pay for trainings and it's like, I hope it's paying off. I think it's paying off. I had been immersed in personal growth for years, and I had been jumping, going to ropes courses and jumping off 60-foot poles and walking on broken glass and walking around pits of fire. And you're like, is this stuff really gonna pay off? And then a guy comes in and says, "It sucks, I'm there." And it's my big break. And instead of folding, I rock it. By the way, when the guy came in the bathroom, I didn't tell you this part of the story. When I'm sitting in there doing my deep breaths, the guy came in, he's like, "Hey, Dave, is Dave here?" And I remember that old joke. I'm like, "Dave's not here." And the guy's like, and then the rest of the thing happened, right? So I sold the 96,000 and I did it. Like I had my opportunity. How often do once in a lifetime opportunities come by? Once when you miss them. This is important. Once when you miss them. Talking to me, joining Safari, that might be your once in a lifetime opportunity. And you only get it once when you miss it. Here's the magic. When you capitalize on a once in a lifetime opportunity, what do you get? More once in a lifetime opportunities.
It's
So
true.
because I rocked it up. So just to wrap that story, I'm taking it all in, and this guy comes walking over with the bags of products I sold, and he goes, "Hey, I'm Dave." He was the guy was looking for in the bathroom, and he bought the stuff. It was awesome. Great
Nice.
question. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.